We want to turn now to the latest free speech blow-up on an Ivy League campus. A conservative student newspaper at Brown University at the center of a free speech debate after an email blast sparked a campus backlash. A student reporter for the Brown Spectator sent an email to more than 3,800 faculty and staff asking a series of pointed questions inspired by Elon Musk's now infamous Doge-themed interviews at X. The list included: 1, explain your role; 2, describe what tasks you performed in the past week; 3, explain how Brown students would be impacted if your position was eliminated; and, sound familiar, that email prompted a conduct code investigation. But in the end, no disciplinary action was taken. Still, the incident raised sharp questions. Was this harassment or an exercise in free expression? Joining us tonight is Shieh, the student journalist who sent that email and a writer for the Brown Spectator. Alex, thanks so much for joining Top Story. I do believe if you're a journalist, you should be able to ask questions and answer questions, and you're going to do that tonight for us, so I appreciate that. First, take me back. What was your inspiration, and why did you want to do this for your campus?
Exactly. That's a great question, Tom. So at Brown, we have 3,805 non-faculty staff members. We're not talking about professors. We're talking about administrators, people like DEI deans, associate vice provosts, and a whole host of other positions. And some of these people earn obscene salaries, like Grace Calhoun, the athletic director, who earns north of $1 million. The university president, Christina Paxson, has a household assistant tending to her. And we really felt that not all these positions were necessary, that they were driving up the cost of tuition. Brown costs $93,000 a year for 1 year of college, and that's not really that fair to students who are low income who can't afford it. Today, I testified.
So, Alex, you raised some good points there, and it sounds like you sound like a reporter, right? You're reporting this story out. Do you see yourself as a reporter or as an activist? Because if you were using the Elon Musk mode there, if that was sort of your inspiration, your North Star, if you will, I wonder, how do you see yourself?
Well, that's a great question. So I identify as a journalist, of course. I'm a reporter for the Brown Spectator. But that doesn't mean I can't have a point of view. We are an opinion journalism organization, and so obviously there is a point of view in it as well. And I testified before Congress today about this, about how the Ivy League's administrative bloat is pricing out kids from low-income families who can't afford their shot at the American dream. And I think morally that's wrong.
And then, Alex, you mentioned families. Some of the people you emailed probably do have families, and they have mortgages, and they have bills to pay, and right now they're employees. And the tone, do you think the tone at all of some of these questions, describe what task you performed in the past week, explain how Brown students would be impacted if your position was eliminated, do you think as a journalist the tone was fair, or do you think maybe it was a little harsh? You wanted to get a response out of it?
I think it was fair. I think we gave people an opportunity to explain what their jobs were. I mean, I'm not exactly sure how else you would phrase it, but we didn't get that many responses, and the responses that we got were profane and hostile, and there was a disciplinary investigation launched against us. We're just trying to unveil the truth, expose what's going on here, and disciplinary action certainly was not warranted in that circumstance.
Talk to me about that. What did Brown tell you? And they ultimately, from the reports I read, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, they ultimately cleared you. So what exactly happened?
Exactly. They threw the entire rule book at me. They first said maybe it was emotional harm, but they stuck they said I violated a technology policy, and then they charged the entire board of the Brown Spectator, not just me, but all of our board members for violating the trademark policy. They said the fact that we were named the Brown Spectator was a violation of Brown's trademark, never mind the fact that the Brown Daily Herald, which is another student newspaper here at Brown, also has Brown in the name. But we were ultimately cleared because these charges were bogus, and I think it's pretty clear that they were retaliation against us for unveiling the truth that was uncomfortable, and Brown didn't want to be out there.
Why were the charges ultimately dropped? Were you cleared?
They were not dropped, but we had a hearing and I won, and so I was found not responsible for any violations.
But when you say you won, how do you explain to me why? Because since we weren't there, why do you say you won?
Exactly. So it's like a court procedure. You go to trial. I presented my side. The administration presented their side, and an independent arbiter, who's a professor who wasn't involved in any of this, determined that the charges had no merit.
So you got a lot of attention on this. You've been sort of a cause celeb for a lot of conservative outlets. You're on Top Story tonight, the greatest news program in streaming, and you testified before Congress. Was that your goal? Was that your ultimate goal? And was the truth not really your goal? Because if the truth wasn't your goal, then, again, then you might be an advocate, you might not be a journalist.
The truth was always the goal, Tom. We were trying to expose what these administrators were doing all day, and that's why we asked them, because that's what you do if you're a credible journalist, is you ask sources for comment if you're mentioning them in your story. And I think it's a shame that they didn't engage with the process, because that really would have been helpful for the process. But I think what we were trying to do is we're trying to raise awareness of this very important issue and make the American dream more accessible to students across the country. And if that means testifying before Congress about my findings, I'm happy to do that. But ultimately, we're trying to get the truth out there.
Alex, fine, I'm going to give you the last word here. College is all about learning and life experience. What did you learn from this experience?
That's a great question. I think what I learned is that when you investigate the administration, they try to investigate you back. But I think ultimately it's important to ask these important questions and not to back down in the face of backlash.
Alex Shieh, I'm sure this is not the last we've heard from you. We thank you for joining Top Story tonight.